Okay, hi everybody. I'm delighted to be here. This is a bit of a flying visit, but I had to come and celebrate Craig's 5th collection. I met Craig at Spoken World Online probably May last year, and immediately just thought, what a great poet, what fantastic poetry. It's so complex. And I was so honoured to be asked to have a look at this collection in advance of its publication. And this is the blurb I wrote on the back. So I'd like to read that to you. It will sound a bit formal, but it comes from the bottom of my heart to celebrate this evening with Craig. Craig Martin Getz' 5th collection is a rich seam of poetry which explores ideas of sexuality, aging, identity, loss, and all the places we might call home. I'd parted one fall from my mother's belly with no promise of ever returning. With his photographer's eye, Getz shows us a country forever in the throes of a natural and or biblical disaster. There are dogs dressed up for a parade, flirty waiters, traffic jams, and dams. His language is precise, full of a strange knowledge that beguiles the reader, drawing them deeply into the poems. My bare feet brush the cheek of a thing called hay. The central poem, The Miner's 10 Commandments, unites Getz's themes in a glorious, sprawling, epic tour de force, which effortlessly encompasses American history, genealogy, and a profound contemplation of inheritance. There is an honesty here, which at times is quite breathtaking. I surrender error to the world, error in the cracks. This collection is brave, defiant, edgy. It begins with the epigraph, never say die, say damn, and ends with the same. We should all live like this. So you're in for a treat, and so am I. Thank you, Craig. Craig, you're muted.
There we go. As I was saying, I was speechless in more than one ways than one. Thank you so much, Sue, for your friendship, your complicity, your inspiration. I'm sure not just to me, but to so many people. Gosh, let's see. So yes, okay. David, thank you as well for your weekly passion. All the people here for your steadfastness and your dedication, and for simply lending me your ears. I would also like to thank a group, a Saturday poetry feedback group called Stanza out of, it's actually based in London. Most of these poems of this collection have passed through their hands, actually. So they definitely deserve my sincere gratitude. The intention of the title actually was, of the Gold Rush, it was to resonate throughout the whole collection on different levels. There is the specific level regarding US history, of course, the California Gold Rush, how gold was discovered at Sutter's Mill in 1848, and everything that followed that discovery. The fame, the richness, but also all the frustration it came to represent within the construction of the American dream. While I won't be reading the whole central poem, The Miner's 10 Commandments, it's 8 pages, so it's pretty long. I will read a couple of excerpts to give you a feeling of what it encompasses. 173 years later, for me, the Gold Rush takes on metaphorical levels about my own searching and digging, but within the geography of poetry. The hope of striking it rich, obviously not on the financial level with poetry, but perhaps on the level of bounty and authenticity of voice. The Gold Rush is also a dialogue between cultures. When you live in a different culture and language on the other side of the world, there are many times when you feel like a fish out of both waters, and you find yourself juggling baggage, everything you took with you when you left, and all the new baggage you collect as the road goes by. Regarding the theme of home, which I chose for this evening. I think we all need to simply find peace in whatever notion of home we have constructed for ourselves. I'm going to share a total of 5 poems, and as a finale, a video that I made inspired by one of the poems. Okay, this first poem is one of the first in the collection. It actually steals its title from Mr. Whitman, who just yesterday, as our lovely Rusty Rose said, celebrated his 202nd birthday anniversary. The title is A Backward Glance Over Traveled Roads. Despite our strategy to leave in the early darkness, in order to get 2 full days in before flying home, by the time the music was over the last hills, a collection of ruby taillights had given way to a winter's steadfast morning and traffic jam. It's clear as day now, on the flip side of a little trick I've discovered, 9 hours away on the other side of the world. It's usually at school, a moment to crack away at a pile of papers when I need to open a window and forgive myself for getting old. I click on the live stream of my LA radio station to hear the intermittent report on the early rush hour. And I can see the 2 of us already on our way to San Francisco. An accident at La Brea has a backup on northbound Interstate 5. And I know exactly what it is to be alone, even though you're in the car sitting next to me. Hundreds of Black women, elbows on windows, resting their heads. Hundreds of Hispanics in pickups. Millions of incorrectly labeled souls. Millions of me inching by useless off-ramps and the knot we untie with no gratification when it all breaks up for no apparent reason. San Francisco. Maybe it was because we had come through the dark, early morning hours. Maybe it was because we had hit just enough traffic to refresh a hatred for the Rubik's Cube of lane changing, that despite the luck of being 2, we did not qualify for the carpool lane. Maybe because Mom is dead, and every surviving member of the family admits, in one way or another, a tremendous amount of relief at her passing. Maybe because there was no fog. Because the chorus of Born in the USA stands as a bitterly ironic counterpart to the song's verses. Maybe because for some time I've experienced a deep sense of release from an unwinnable battle, not against my mother, but against you, shotgun to my right. The choppy undertow of a once buoyant reciprocity of your skin atop mine, holding me prisoner in an Alcatraz of jealousy. But I'll be damned and sure as hell to wear some flowers in my hair, even if I'm not going to San Francisco. The window down and my left hand out with the exact change for the Bay Bridge, and 2 whole days ahead of us. Maybe it was because we would be gone from this place in no time, that there was something magical and triumphal about our crossing. Excuse me. Okay, so a few years ago, several years ago, one summer while visiting my father, when he was still alive, in Folsom, California, he took us, my husband and I, to Sutter's Mill, which is in the very small community in Coloma, up in the Sierra Nevada foothills. Apart from the mill itself, which is rebuilt nowadays, there was a small, curious museum, which used to be a store of Chinese ownership at the time. People came from all over the world. I have a weak spot for oddball little museums. Part of this museum is dedicated actually to the Miners' 10 Commandments, which were originally published in the Placerville Herald newspaper in 1853. They were later reprinted as a letter sheet and sold to miners and prospectors who used it as stationery. This document surprised me. I never knew anything about this, and it inspired my own interpretation of it. And it really became the genesis of the entire collection. This particular poem is dedicated to my father. Let's see, I'm going to screen share this. So 2 excerpts from the Miners' 10 Commandments. I could say I am a miner, dreaming my dream of wrenching a richness from this underworld I never figured was worth even writing about. Wandering from away back west, overseas now, that my sojourn, my private party, does depend on the lively gifts granted as I had parted one fall from my mother's belly, with no promise of ever returning. Little did I know, my whim of Bohemia would have me settling down, so far from home, so far from the hoods, brotherhood, sonhood, unclehood, just a few photos on a few fridges on the other side of the world. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. Any false claim has been chalked up to the pursuit of someone I'm not. For a long time, I didn't think I had anything to write about. When I remember all the stuttering, I forgive myself for being short for words at these dinner tables. When I remember all the apologizing, I see where my diplomacy kicks in and how difficult it's been to be honest to my pen and keys, dreaming my dream of wrenching any richness from this underworld. Which brings me to thou shalt not kill. Neither thy body by fucking in the vapor of desire, nor thy neighbor's body. Neither shalt thou destroy thyself by getting tight, nor stewed, nor high, nor corned, nor half seas over, nor 3 sheets in the wind by drinking brandy slings, whiskey punches, rum toddies, nor eggnogs. Neither shalt thou suck mint juleps, nor sherry cobblers through a straw, nor gurgle from a bottle the raw material, nor take it straight from a decanter. For, while thou art swallowing down thy purse, thou shouldest feel a choking in thy throat. Thy remembrance shames one. Henceforth, I cut thy acquaintance, and hard-ons, blue balls, and vapor devils, all the unholy catalogue of evils that follow in thy train. My wife's husband's smiles and the merry-hearted laugh of my children, or lack thereof, shall charm and reward me for having the manly firmness and courage to say no. And this last poem is dedicated to my mother. Last poem before the video. It's called A Mountain Will Do. Surely her turquoise is finding its way back into the mountain, her gold. Surely the silver halides are evaporating from so many negatives, having performed successfully their specific task of documenting her black and white manifestation of her time on earth, evaporating the contours of her widow's peak. I quickly find myself in the Jurassic and Cretaceous periods in the internet upon searching for my mother's hometown. How the testimony of the oceanic mantle forms Mont Diablo, or Tuishtak, the dawn of time in the Olon language. I've been looking for something, a gravitational center for a handful of objects that survived her cremation. A mountain will do. Was it Chanel number 5? The cotton beneath her locket never lost? Suspended smoke of white owls over the dash when grandpa and grandma were mere passing satellites to my own immortal planet, for instance. Not to mention the objects. As if my own childhood erased hers. A collection of totems and milestones take on the air of orphaned trinkets in a secondhand thrift store in their attempt to regain their primitive meaning. Far from happiness, far from sadness, returning to the mountain. And as a final finale, I will screen share this one as well. It's the video. I need to connect both audio, share sound, and here we go. This is the second poem in the collection, and it touches on several things. Ian earlier talked about disaster movies. I was like, yes, disaster movies. So you'll see why. Here we go. Thank you, everybody.